So what happens if Nvidia does not meet market's expectation for earnings tomorrow? What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with TechBud Solutions, and in this video, we're going to be talking about all of the good and all of the bad as Nvidia is set to report its biggest earnings tomorrow after the market closes. And yes, it's going to be on Wednesday, August 28th. I do want to remind you that I do plan to live stream it for free on this YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it together as we watch the market react to Nvidia reporting earnings, it would be a great time for us to come together and watch this overall reaction. All I literally ask you to do is to subscribe to the channel and get this video to over 1,000 likes, and hopefully I can see you there tomorrow. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Nvidia has been the biggest focus for Wall Street this year. There's no question about it. It is leading the market. It has experienced one of the craziest growth, not just this year, but in the past year and a half since 2023. If we look at this on the day chart, you could see from lows, again, this is after its stock split, but it's still from $10.81 all the way up to its current price of $128 and its previous all-time high price of $140. Now, the really wild thing about this, $141. The really wild thing about this is that, Nvidia has been kind of lacking progress beyond its resistance of 130. You could see that it's been showing a lot of signs of consolidation. Now, don't get me wrong, Nvidia is not selling off, but it's also not really showing signs of progress on the upside. It's kind of stuck here, and it makes sense because the market is waiting for Nvidia to report earnings. So what is the best and worst case scenario? We're going to be breaking that down in our risk to reward ratio calculator. But before we do that, I want to talk about why there's such a big focus. And I think that this article did a great job expressing why so many people are anticipating such a home run grand slam earnings from Nvidia. So why it matters. The chip giant's fate directly reflects how much other companies are investing in AI development, a subject that has been driving the stock market to new all-time highs. Now, I did share a interview of Mark Zuckerberg, where he talked about the investment that big tech is pouring into artificial intelligence. And one thing that he stated that he was very open about is that, yes, a lot of these big tech companies maybe are going to be able to look back and be like, maybe we were overspending, but it's because they see so much growth potential in AI, and that's how they justify it. With that being said, it is something that Microsoft, Google has all made super apparent that they are pouring heavy into AI, but the results are simply not here just yet. And that's why when Google and Microsoft reported earnings and exceeded expectations for the actual earning report, but their guidance was a little bit off because they were not seeing the results that they originally were expecting with AI right away. It wasn't that instant gratification that Wall Street thought it was going to be. So the big focus for right now is, are these big tech companies going to be stepping back on how aggressive they're investing into AI because they've seen that slowdown or how long it's going to take? Or is it still going to continue, right? That's kind of the big focus of what we are really trying to pay attention to for tomorrow during the earnings call. So it's hard to remember a time when there was so much anticipation regarding one company's earning report, as Bespoke Investment Group puts it. And that is very true. I mean, every news article, every outlet is talking about one thing, and that is about Nvidia reporting earnings tomorrow. And again, I'm really happy that we're going to be able to watch it together. The big picture, stocks have been driven to record highs this year on the back of big tech, whose momentum is being driven by AI. And there's no question about that. AI is the new shiny toy with Wall Street. That puts Nvidia's earnings under a huge microscope. And I thought this was very useful in the way that they put it. The company's reports on Wednesday may actually impact the overall market more than the Fed Chair Jerome Powell's speech last week at the Jackson Hole meeting. And this is something that they stated where I've openly said this before, where Jerome Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, anytime that he speaks, anytime that he's in an interview, markets shift because his word is like gold to the market or can be detrimental to the market depending on what his sentiment is. And for them to compare Nvidia, one company's earnings, to the overall market, it just shows how much influence they have. And I think that does a really good job expressing that. The S&P 500 has gained 27% over the past 12 months. Nvidia, which weighs heavily on the index, is up 167% over the same period, so the past 12 months. So what are we watching? Investors will scrutinize every figure, every word of Nvidia's earnings, and on the conference call for clues on whether companies' key customers, basically all of big tech, if they are dialing back on AI investments after several straight quarters of massive spending hikes. And again, I will repeat this. The big focus is based off of recent earnings. Is Nvidia going to showcase that big tech is slowing down and the amount that they are pouring into AI, or are they still continuing with the same demand? And that is what we are looking for tomorrow with what they are going to be reporting. So if they were to miss revenue or earnings, which we do not think is going to happen, or if guidance for the next quarter isn't strong enough, we could see Nvidia and all of the other AI stocks sell off. And this is the super important part. I do not believe that Nvidia will necessarily miss earnings. For those that are unaware, what are market's expectations for tomorrow? It's about $28.73 billion when it comes down to net income of about $14.91 billion. So the big thing that I want to remind you is that this report is going to be capturing the previous quarter. So this report that's about to be released is based off of how they've already performed. The thing that I think is most important is the guidance call. Just like we saw with Microsoft and just like we saw with Google, that they reported solid earnings, some even exceeding expectation, but yet the stock still sold off because their guidance of what's to come was lower than what Wall Street expected. If this earnings report shows or showcases any signs of a potential slowdown in the up and coming quarters, get ready for some selling pressure. You cannot be surprised. It's not just about the earning report and the earning per share exceeding market's expectation. The guidance for up and coming quarters has to be good, because if up and coming quarters are expected to slow down, that will make investors aware that, okay, we expect to slow down. Maybe I don't want to be as heavily invested in Nvidia, as Nvidia is nearly at all-time highs, right? If we look at this at 128 previous all-time highs, we're definitely more on the overbought side than we are oversold. With that being said, I plugged this into my risk to reward ratio calculator. For all those that are a little bit newer, we do provide this risk calculator for free. It's the first link in the description down below if you want to download it. With Nvidia, with a purchase price of 128, which is right around the current price level that it's at right now, if it were to go back to previous highs of 141, right? 141 previous all-time highs. Or if it ends up selling off back down to $100 with about $100,000, what could you potentially make? About $10,000. Or if it ends up selling off, you could potentially lose $21,000. So I like to put things into perspective of, okay, well, what's our profit potential and what's our loss potential? Obviously, you can cut losses quicker, but the thing when it comes down to the earning reports is that it's an instant reaction, and it does bleed into it sometimes, or it does rise into it, but nonetheless, there's a very significant catalyst that sends the stock either skyrocketing and or crashing. And I think Nvidia and what we are going to experience tomorrow is going to be just that, a very significant catalyst that is either for the bulls or for the bears. It's just really hard to think that Nvidia will not exceed expectation when it comes down to its earnings report. The only thing that I'm kind of just asking myself is, well, will its guidance for up and coming quarters truly exceed Wall Street's expectation, or will they show any signs of a slowdown? As many of you guys have noticed or have heard, Jensen, the CEO of Nvidia, has sold, I think, at least $104 million worth of Nvidia stock in the last 30 days. Now, again, it's about less than 1% of his overall net worth, but again, he is selling a lot of his position, so this is just kind of raising some eyebrows leading up to this earning report. So we will see. There's no reason on why we need to try to predict, but But again, we are definitely here to prepare, and I'm really excited to be sharing this experience with you guys and watching it together as Nvidia reports its biggest earnings yet. So really do appreciate you guys' time. Hope that earned a thumbs up. If you want to tune on in, again, all I ask you to do is subscribe to the channel and get this video to over 1,000 likes. And don't forget, if you want to watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow when the market opens, that's that second link in the description down below. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.